The rain hadn't stopped all morning, turning the city streets into slick mirrors of flashing red and blue lights. People moved faster under umbrellas, heads down, avoiding trouble the way this neighborhood always had to. But trouble didn't avoid them. Not today. Not when a quiet man in a plain grey hoodie stepped off the curb and unknowingly walked straight into it. 2 patrol cars rolled up too fast. Tires hissed against the wet asphalt. Doors slammed. Boots hit the ground with authority that didn't ask questions. It made assumptions. The officers didn't know his name. They didn't care. To them, he was just another face in a place they'd already judged. "Hey, you! Stop right there!" one officer barked, voice sharp enough to cut through the rain. The man stopped. He didn't flinch, didn't argue, didn't run. He just turned slowly, hands visible, calm eyes taking in every detail. The badge numbers, the patrol unit markings, the positioning of the officers around him. His breathing stayed even, controlled. Inside, his mind was already working. The taller officer stepped forward, jaw tight, eyes narrowed. "Where you headed?" "Home," the man replied, voice steady, almost too quiet. The officer exchanged a look with his partner. A smirk followed. "Funny, you match a description." The man tilted his head slightly. "Of what?" "Don't play games," the second officer snapped, already circling behind him. "We've had reports. Suspicious activity." Suspicious. The word hung in the air like a verdict already decided. The man nodded once, slow, calculated. "Am I being detained?" That question irritated them more than anything else. "Turn around," the first officer ordered. "Hands behind your back." There was a moment, just a fraction of a second where the world seemed to pause. Rain tapping against metal, a car passing in the distance. A woman watching from across the street, her steps slowing as she sensed something wasn't right. The man complied. He always did, because he understood something they didn't. Timing. Cold steel cuffs snapped around his wrists. Too tight. Intentional. "You got ID?" the second officer asked, already patting him down without waiting for an answer. "In my wallet," the man said. The officer pulled it out, flipping through it carelessly. Cards bent, papers shifted, a driver's license held up like evidence. "Marcus Reed," the officer read aloud. "Well, Marcus, you picked the wrong day." Marcus didn't respond. He watched. He listened. And he memorized. The taller officer leaned in closer, voice dropping to something more personal, more dangerous. "You people always say the same thing. I didn't do anything. I'm just going home. You think we haven't heard that before?" Marcus finally met his eyes, calm, unshaken. "I didn't say anything," Marcus replied. That silence, it got under their skin. The officer shoved him lightly toward the patrol car. Not enough to leave a mark, just enough to make a point. Across the street, more people had stopped. Phones were out now, recording, whispering. The officers noticed, and instead of backing down, they doubled down. "Put him in the car," the first officer ordered. As Marcus was guided toward the back seat, he slightly adjusted his stance, not resisting, but positioning himself in a way that gave him a better angle. His eyes caught the reflection in the car window. Badge number 4721, unit code 3B17, every detail locked in. Inside the patrol car, the air smelled like vinyl and old coffee. The door slammed shut behind him, sealing him into a space designed to control. Outside, the officers laughed. One of them said something under his breath, something they thought no one would hear. But Marcus did. He heard everything. Minutes passed. Rain kept falling. The tension built quietly, like a storm beneath the surface. Then the radio crackled. Unit 3B17, confirm status. The officer grabbed it. "Yeah, we've got a suspect detained, matching description. Bringing him in." There was a pause on the other end. A longer pause than expected. Then a different voice came through, sharper, more authoritative. "Confirm the name of the individual in custody." The officer rolled his eyes, glancing toward the car. "Marcus Reed." "Why?" Silence. Then, hold position. The officer frowned. What? I said hold position. Do not transport. Now both officers were listening. Something had shifted. Is there a problem? The first officer asked, irritation creeping in. The voice on the radio didn't hesitate this time. Yes, there is. Another pause. Heavy, intentional. Then the words landed. You are currently detaining Captain Marcus Reed. The world didn't just pause. It stopped. The rain seemed quieter, the air heavier. Both officers stared at each other, confusion crashing into disbelief. That's not possible, one of them muttered. But it was. Inside the car, Marcus closed his eyes briefly. Not out of fear, out of patience. The radio crackled again. Repeat, Captain Marcus Reed, Internal Affairs Division. You are ordered to remove the cuffs immediately and stand down. The officer's hand trembled slightly as he lowered the radio. For the first time since this began, uncertainty crept in. They approached the car slower now. Different. The arrogance wasn't gone, but it was cracking. The door opened. Marcus looked up at them. Same calm expression, same steady gaze. No anger, no panic, just control. The taller officer cleared his throat. Sir, we're going to, remove the restraints. Marcus didn't respond immediately. He let the silence stretch. Let them sit in it. Then quietly, go ahead. The cuffs came off. The same hands that had tightened them now struggled to undo them. Marcus stepped out of the car slowly, adjusting his sleeves. The crowd across the street had grown, phones still recording. But now, the narrative was shifting. The officers stood straighter, almost rigid. Captain, we didn't know, one of them said, voice suddenly respectful. Marcus looked at him for a long moment. You didn't ask, he replied. That hit harder than anything else. Within minutes, more vehicles arrived. Unmarked cars, higher-ranking officials stepping out. The atmosphere changed completely. What had started as a routine stop was now an unfolding investigation. Marcus didn't raise his voice, didn't make a scene. He didn't have to. Everything was already in motion. Body cam footage was reviewed on site. Witness statements were taken immediately. The officer's earlier confidence dissolved under the weight of procedure. One of the supervisors approached Marcus. Captain, do you want to handle this internally or by the book? Marcus said. Firm, final. And that was it. The system they thought protected them now held them accountable. Days turned into weeks. The footage went public. Not because Marcus pushed it, but because the truth demanded it. The video spread fast. 2 officers, confident and careless, detaining a man without cause. The moment their tone changed, the moment they realized who he was. The contrast was undeniable. Internal Affairs launched a full investigation. Not just into that incident, but into their entire record. Complaints resurfaced, patterns emerged. Stories from people who had stayed silent now had a voice. The officers were suspended, then terminated. But it didn't stop there. Charges followed. Official misconduct. Civil rights violations. Courtrooms replaced patrol cars. Uniforms replaced with suits that couldn't hide the weight of what they'd done. Marcus testified once. Calm, precise, unshakable. He didn't exaggerate. He didn't need to. The truth was enough. The verdict came down like it always should have. Guilty, prison sentences, loss of pension, public records that would follow them for the rest of their lives. But the real impact was bigger. Policies changed, training programs were rewritten, oversight increased, because one man didn't react. He responded with discipline, with patience, with purpose. Months later, the same street looked different, not because the buildings changed, but because the people did. There was awareness now, accountability, and respect, where there hadn't been before. Marcus still walked those streets, same calm presence, same quiet strength. But now, people noticed, not because of his title, but because of what he stood for. And maybe that was the point all along. If this story made you think, let me know in the comments. Would you have handled it the same way? Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this.